Sure.
Oh,
Okay.
hello.
Hey, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you
okay.
now.
Here, just
Oh, there, Eureka! It's
Okay.
finally happened after
Uh,
15 requests. How
oh
we've been doing
man,
this for a
so
while now,
glad.
but it doesn't matter. It's
Okay,
happening.
okay. One, two, three. Welcome to the first episode of Truly Experience. We have two our first guests ever. Welcome to my podcast. And Andy, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Andy. I'm an author, a teacher, a writer, a traveler here in Hanoi for 3 years in Vietnam, and things keep on going.
Nice to meet you, Andy.
And nice
Cheers
to meet you
for
too.
Andy for the
Nice
first
to
time on
know
the
you again.
podcast.
Meet
I've
you
known
and know
Andy
you.
let's
for
go.
about a year now. We met at a writing group, and
A year, kind of.
let's just say that he's one of my best friends like ever. Like we had so many adventures together, so many, you know, same viewpoints about especially Hanoi. And then I have Kim, which I have been friends with for about
Especially.
3 or 4 years now. Can you
A
introduce him?
little bit more than that. A little bit more than that.
A little bit more, 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. Should I introduce myself then?
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, like he said, I've known Tố for about 5 years now. Um, yeah, I'm like Andy, I'm also a teacher. Not a professional one. I mean, whatever makes money. And yeah, it's my second podcast with Bo. The last one we did was around 3 years ago,
The
but
the
that wasn't
last
really
time,
official.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
but
fun. Yeah.
yeah, this feels more official.
Andy, the
Yeah.
last time me and Kim we did a podcast on UFO and conspiracy theories, and we
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about like
Flying
how,
saucers, Area 51.
yeah, we talk
More than
all
that,
about that
actually.
because Kim is an expert on aliens and everything that the government doesn't want us to know. So if you want to ask about like what the CIA did in 1962, you can ask him.
I wouldn't call myself an
I
expert.
know about 47. I don't
Yeah,
know about
47. That's
62.
when it all kicked off, the Roswell incident. At least for like the mainstream media, that's when people started really to talk about the UFO issue. But it started way before that, actually.
Wow.
But yeah, I think we can have that for another episode.
That's when it got declassified.
Yeah, that's when
Yeah,
it got
that,
declassified.
well,
Exactly.
let's just save that for another episode because I don't want to be killed yet. I'm only 23. Let's just save it to like when I'm 24 or
You have
25 and
27. You have to
27,
make it
yeah.
to the
The
27
27 Club.
club.
Let's go. The 27 Club.
so the topic that you know, um, summon you guys together today. Let's talk about Hanoi, because as a person who grew up in Hanoi, I feel like Hanoi has turned into something that is unlivable for me. That's why I moved to Dalat. I've been living in Dalat for 3 months now, and I feel like my state of mind and my energy is overall better. So let's just say that we have three different opinions and point of views about Hanoi. We got someone who grew up in Hanoi, another Vietnamese who did not grow up in Hanoi, and a foreigner perspective on about Hanoi and compared to other cities. So let's just start with Andy. What do you think about Hanoi, and what's your opinion about what's going on in Hanoi right now after the storm
I mean,
last month?
it's after the storm. I mean, right. Uh, I guess they kind of recovered from that. The beginning was really bleak. Like what I liked about Hanoi in the very beginning of my saga here was that it had a lot of trees, and it still has a lot of trees. I lived in other Asian cities, big metropolis places, and I saw that in many of these cities, trees were not really a thing. For example, in Indonesia, they're like, they don't do that. It's like you want to see trees, drive outside the city, go to some jungle. You have all the trees there, all the forests. But this is something I liked about Hanoi, and they still have a lot of trees, but since the storm, a lot of them just went down,
Down.
and
That was
you can see
devastating.
that
I
in
saw some of
like,
the pictures, like where I grew up, like everything was falling down and people were dying, and it's just I feel like it's
Yeah,
just a
this,
sign, like a universe.
it was
I'm not
the
superstitious, but I feel like it's a sign of the universe of saying that the gods have had enough of how Hanoi has been for the past years, like the pollution and traffic
food.
jam
Yeah, we were
and
talking.
everything, corruption.
I was talking about this. I was talking about this to some of my close people here. Were like, "Yo, God hates this place. I mean, you do this." But you might as well say that God hates Guangning. But Guangning is a special place. And Guangning suffered the most from what I heard. I mean,
Hmm.
the most severe, the most severely attacked, damaged, whatever part of Vietnam by this whole ordeal with the typhoon was up there in Guangning. The Halong, Haiphong, no, Haiphong is elsewhere. But Halong and the surrounding areas were like really butchered. Like, they were like,
How long is beautiful? Like I went there like twice, and
I love it, man.
yeah, it's very beautiful. The price is good, and
They have big roads, man. They have
huge,
some
like
really amazing
freaking huge
infrastructure.
road.
That's new. I wasn't there when last time I was there. I mean, I was there 12 years ago. So
12 years
didn't
ago,
count.
that was like
Yeah, I
wow.
think around that time they still had the ferry to cross because Halong is basically kind of the city is like two parts,
Yeah.
which are separated by a strait, and they built this awesome bridge to connect them.
Oh yeah,
And
that
they
was
made
it. That wasn't there when yeah, 12 years ago. I mean, that's ancient history,
That
basically.
was wow,
Yeah,
12
but
years
things
ago.
are moving fast, you know. In 10 years, some places are completely transformed. Some for the better, some for the other way.
Yeah.
I think, gentlemen, we can, turn the topic into like how things have changed over the years. Like I think industrializations has taken over the whole country, not only Hanoi. Like everything is industrialized now, and it's just shitty. Like they replace trees with roads. Like everything is cement now. That you know, the air quality is getting worse and worse, and people are buying cars.
And in some cities, they do it right, you know.
Yeah.
How do we do it right, in your opinion?
Well, you do it right when you have in mind the concept of quality of life and what that implies, you know. How do you make a place livable for human beings? Why do people like certain places, certain cities more than others, you know? Because you need to have a mix of things. You need jobs, proper infrastructure, a good, price, cost, um, benchmark. Green spots, yeah, you want to relax. Then you need those areas where you can forget that you're in the city.
Hmm.
You when you pretend, because that's why people make parks, right?
Yeah.
You go there and you pretend that you're in some place in nature, even though you're still in the middle of the city. But that's the effect the park has on you.
Mm.
Well,
And
New York has
some cities fail to do those
the
things.
Central Park, but Hanoi, I feel like there's a Tom Nhut part, but it doesn't live up to like the part that everyone goes to. Like you have to pay. The thing is, you have to pay the ticket to go into the park
That's
and the
stupid.
parking ticket,
Hell.
which I feel like.
If you drive there, yeah. If you're driving there,
But why do
but I
we
think
have to
that's
pay
anywhere.
to be in nature? That's the question I'm asking. It's like people capitalize on everything now, even the nature itself, which I
Mhm.
feel like is a
Well,
big gentrification of everything.
I think we just try and really hard to catch up with everyone else, at least in a region. I mean, I think what we're doing is not wrong, but our approach is all wrong. You know, like we try to look for money in every nook and cranny possible, and we just forget about, like what is intrinsic to life. You know, people just forget things about that when they're trying really hard to catch up with other people. And just they chase after money and just forget about other things. You know, it's, I think
Well,
that's how I
it
would put it.
happens. It happens, and like I feel like everything can be if anything that can be capitalized will be capitalized. Like
Yeah.
you can get money out of
yeah, nature
practically
is
anything now.
because now you have this dystopian concept that people tend to destroy things, and then you have the government intervention that supposedly protects certain areas, and
Yeah.
they're like, hey, this is a national park, this is government property, don't touch these places, and then you kind of pay the price for that, say like, hey, we keep this place nice and safe and clean so people don't trash it or treat it the wrong way. So in order to have that, you got to pay the price so you
Yeah.
keep maintaining the place the way you wanted it to be so everyone can enjoy it.
I mean, since you touched on that, I mean, I think it's ironic how like right now we're capitalizing on everything. It goes against our socialist system. Like a socialist system implies that like the public sector shouldn't be paid for, like public service should be paid for, and yet we're paying for like all these public services, like
Yeah.
uh, like
Yeah.
trash collection money. Yeah, I'm just it's just funny that that's the thing, because collecting trash every month, that's supposed to be like a public service thing, and yet I know it's
It's
not a lot
supposed
of
to be
money.
free.
Like yeah, every month they just come over and take like $2. I mean, it's nothing. $2 is nothing, but still, it's like it's a public company that does all of this stuff, but still we have to pay money for it. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. And I know it's, you know, when you get the opportunity, then you must, you know, capitalize on it. But it's just unethical at this point. Like
Unethical, yeah.
collecting trash. And, yeah, you pay money for that, and public bathrooms, and you pay money to go to the bathroom in public.
Yeah.
Man, it doesn't sit well with me.
It would make sense if, like the government hired like a private contractor to do all these things, and yeah, paying a bit of money would make sense. But all of the departments that are like responsible for like environmental stuff. I mean, we pay a lot of environmental taxes. Like for gas, for example, like part of what we pay for gas goes to the environmental taxes. Still, all the public services that revolves around trash collection and everything, still have to pay for it. It just doesn't make any sense. It's weird. Is it the same in Hanoi?
Um, yeah, I think it's the same.
I'm not too sure.
No, not so
I'm not
sure.
sure because
In
it's
certain
the
parts
area
of
where you
Hanoi.
live.
Certain parts of Hanoi.
They do it, but they could do better. When I walk on some streets and I see just piles of trash just sitting there.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on.
I don't like the trash in Hanoi. Like you can smell the trash from like 10 meters apart. Like you can go outside and you feel like your lungs is filled with trash. Like I'm not kidding. Like
Yeah, but
it's
it's a mix of things. It's the authorities that are doing a lousy job with it, and then there the locals that just go outside and throw their bags and like whatever, not my problem.
their awareness is
Whoever has
zero.
to do it.
Like they have no
Uh-huh.
concern
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
anything.
Especially the older people, they are things are normalized. Some bad habits became normalized at some point, and it became standard that it's okay to do these things. You can get away with it. Nobody cares. And I see this herd mindset like, oh, my neighbor does it. I can do it too.
It's like it's normalized now. Like trashing.
Yeah, it's like, like when in Rome, do what the Romans do, right? I mean,
And I'm guilty of that. I mean, okay, I'm not throwing literally trash, but sometimes I smoke a bag on the street.
yeah.
And I finish, and we all know this move. When you finish, and then
Yeah. Force of
Bad
habit.
habits.
Force of
Well,
habit.
I do that. So guilty as charged.
Plus, it looks
yeah,
cool.
you see
It
everyone
looks cool.
doing it.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's like,
cool. It's peak
it's
masculinity.
it's kind of cool.
It's
It's
like-
you.
Yeah, but then a cigarette is different from like throwing a bag of things.
Yeah,
just
true,
because-
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, cigarettes are just paper, but hey, are you sick, Andy?
My sinus, is up and down. Depends on the time of the day.
Mhm.
So I can't.
Is it a
Me too,
result
me
of the
too.
weather there, like the change of the season?
Weather's been nice now. Now you have like temperature fluctuations. You wake up and it's kind of chilly at 7, 8, 9 a.m. Around afternoon it gets quite hot and then it chills down again in the evening.
Well, I'm glad the weather's been treating you guys nice. Like I've been living.
It's beautiful
Yeah.
now. Like the September was a complete disaster. Especially the first half of September was a hazard. I was this close to quit my job. I was like, I'm selling everything. I'm gonna hop
Oh
on the
man.
train. And south I go.
Shit.
It really, I don't remember being challenged so much by the weather as I was in that week. Because when it rains consistently, the sewage
Mm.
isn't really up to challenge.
Just pollution in general.
And the roads become rivers.
Oh.
And all the trash, all the dirt blend through the river, and it's a
Yeah, I'm
such
trying to
a-
paint. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
mental
me
picture in my
too, me
head.
too.
I can't get it out.
It's crazy because the last time I was there, I was
It's
here
horrendous.
3 months ago, and then 2 months after, a storm happened. It's like holy shit. I'm both relieved, and I feel like oh shit, all my friends there are suffering from the storm, and I feel like yeah, it fucked Hanoi up. It they just
But you know, the most affected were the people around Hanoi, like in the countryside. I mean,
Yeah,
the villages
yeah.
were literally sunk under, and you know, when this kind of stuff happened in a matter of hours, you literally lose everything. And it's, I don't want to,
Mm.
I can't relate to this feeling. It's devastating.
Mm.
I saw footage on VTV with those people that were boats. They were giving supplies to people all that day.
I mean, I
Andy,
don't-
are you aware? Are you aware of like people using the Yagi storm to basically how do we put it?
Get rich.
No, no,
Profit?
yeah, get rich.
Advantage of it.
Like so, you do the
Profit?
donation, and the money doesn't come to the charities and to the victims. They just come to their bank account, which
Yeah, I mean,
Like it happens in Gaza with the
Yeah, it happens
with the
everywhere.
aid enabled,
It happens
and then
I mean, like half of the money that goes to Gaza probably ends up in Hamas's pockets anyway. I mean,
yeah,
I can't prove it, but you know, it makes sense.
like there's some fucked up
I mean,
people.
stuff was supposed to be free, and then you see these guys capitalizing on the aid,
Yeah.
selling it,
That's
and it's
fucked
not
up.
cheap.
Totally fucked up.
But yeah, we were talking about Hanoi. So.
Yeah. So I feel like if you can live in Hanoi, weather-wise, then you can live practically anywhere. Like you can live in Saigon, and Saigon is pretty chill compared to Hanoi. Like it might be hot, but Saigon, I feel like Kim. Do you think that Saigon has this really like consistent, weather throughout the years? You don't get really chilly, but you don't get really hot either.
It's like it's not as extreme, and because of this insanely polluted, stuffy air quality in Hanoi, you feel dizzy at some point. At least that's the case, and I'm a very outdoorsy person. I like to be outside, walk around, sit at a cafe or terrace, just be out, you know. And I can't do that for too long because at some point I'm literally dizzy, and I'm like, I need to get home or somewhere inside and just take a rest or just lay down. And in Saigon, I didn't have this problem. You know, I was spending a lot of time outside in the parks or just driving through the city, hours and hours, and it was still fine. I didn't feel mentally. I was tired, of course, whatever, sweating, but not on this level. I didn't have this dizziness that was just
Yeah.
canceling all my.
It's like every time I go outside in Hanoi, I have headaches, and whenever I go jogging, I cannot finish with my jog. It feels draining, like your whole energy is
Yeah,
drained.
you can.
Yeah,
Jogging in Hanoi is good at maybe dawn, like 5 to 7 a.m., maybe 8 a.m., and that's it. After that, it's.
I think probably in Saigon, like the best place to jog in would be the D7 area. I hang out in D7 a lot because I go to school there, and I would go out of my way to go to D7 early in the morning just to like take in the fresh air. I live in Phu Nhuần, which is like 20 minutes from D7, but I still
Uh-huh.
try to like make the time to go there. And D7 is well, depending on where in D7, but they have an area where it's mostly for like the upper middle class people, and like the whole layout of the area, super spacious, big roads, a lot of trees,
They have a park as
and
well. It's like that place with the bridge, and there's some water there, and there are like some corporate buildings. I remember there's like a 7-Eleven.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge bridge.
The Crescent Bridge. Yeah, whatever. I don't remember what it's called, but it's
Yeah,
shaped
before
like
getting there, yeah, when you drive from, I drove there from District 1, and I remember there was a green area, and again, it felt very American-like. You had wide roads, wide pavements,
yeah.
and just, they were lined with trees.
It's basically a whole different country. Feels like a whole different country too.
It is.
Wow,
It used to be a
most of
different
the
country.
Saigon.
Yeah, yeah. And like the security in that area is pretty good. Like their whole Fumihung, like the whole area, the whole D7 area, they have their own security team, and they work more efficiently than actual police. Like there was a robbery case a couple years ago where like I mean there are a lot of Korean nationals who live there, and one of their phones got snatched, and within like 15 minutes, like the whole security team had control of the situation. They knew which route the robber take. Was what they knew which route the robber took, and they set up barricades to block him in, and it was like done within like 15-20 minutes. Yeah, they got his phone back, handed the guy over to the police.
That's amazing.
And,
That's
yeah,
freaking amazing.
crazy.
Sounds cinematic.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
like
mean,
Saigon is so safe. Like I feel like everything here there is done right. Like you can, obviously you cannot leave your bike like unlocked. You will
yeah,
get
yeah.
stolen. But the fact that people care about each other on a whole
Uh-huh.
another level. So within 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and you will get your stuff back. If you get
Uh-huh.
your bag is stolen, or you go to Circle K and
Yeah, I did
your
hear.
stuff gets stolen.
But I heard in Hanoi they're vigilant too. I heard that
Vigilante,
those,
yeah, like
those actual messed up thieves or whatever. Or when there's a fight, there's a conflict. They're cutting down on those guys. It's just
Well, the crime rate.
I was in Hanoi. Like the
I
crime
never
rate.
see statistics. It's just like what.
Well,
people
I
told
feel like it's more like oppressive in Hanoi. Like they have to be aggressive
Uh-huh.
because like people are acting out a lot in Hanoi. Like you see
Fair,
people
yeah.
with like, machetes
Yeah,
and
aggressiveness is kind of, again, it's kind of normalized in. Okay, I'm not saying people are individually they're peaceful, they're fine, but when, for example, in traffic, like asshole driving became a norm, You
That's
just
been the
honk
thing for
like a
years.
maniac
it's
and just
fucking
cut people's faces.
wow.
That doesn't happen in Da Nang. You see it sometimes, a little bit, but in Saigon, like almost never. I drove there for like 2 weeks.
That was a problem in Hanoi, like drag. Sorry, it was a problem in Saigon a couple years ago, like drag racing and street racing in general. But the last time I heard about that was 7 years ago, back when I was still in high school. Like nowadays, it's non-existent. But yet, I still see it happen in Hanoi. It's crazy. I thought it
There's
was
more
like,
structure. Like there's still no structure in Hanoi. Like you go to
Uh-huh.
like Tang Xuan, which is like a District 3 or District
Tang
4
Xuan,
of Saigon, and then you see people with phóng lợn and machetes, and they be like stabbing each other. Like holy
Machetes?
shit, what the
It's-
fuck is going on?
You see that in Saigon? Where in District 4?
There's
no, we don't have that. We don't have it in
have
Saigon.
that. We don't have that in Saigon.
I heard in Long Bien there's some messed up stories in Long Bien.
Yeah.
was the
Long
river.
Bien is like the asshole of fucking Hanoi. It's like, it's a bit of exaggeration, but
For me, that's Huang Mai. For
Oh,
me,
Huang Mai,
Huang
yeah,
Mai
yeah,
is a
yeah.
complete. that's like the hood. There's like the Bronx of Hanoi. Let's put it like this. Whatever the banlieue
A
of
lot of
Hanoi.
gangsters live in Huang
Neighborhoods are.
Mai. In case you don't know him, like Huang Mai is like where.
That's where I'm. That's where my school is. You know, and surprisingly,
Shit.
like the
Yeah,
students that
Tell
I
me
meet,
more. Tell me
it's
more.
yeah.
it's an okay school. But then sometimes I drive. When I drive back and forth, I see the Checho racer
Yeah,
cars.
yeah, yeah.
And those guys are complete cancer, you know. Like, why is the police cracking down on these guys?
It's just
Those
weird
guys
hearing
are
about
very-
that in
Because
2024. I mean, yeah.
yeah, because who the fuck would want to mess with them? Even the police. Like fucking look at them with their
What do you
fucking.
mean? Why would they have the authority? The police has the equipment.
Yeah, but
They can.
they don't give a shit. Like they would just drive by, and maybe slash a random person and then go away, and then police will do nothing because they're busy taking money from the citizens.
Mm. I heard it's worse in Hanoi than corruption. I mean, corruption happens here in Saigon, but it's very focused on certain areas of the city. Like, you wouldn't see that much corruption, say, in the downtown area. Like in the District 1 or D3 area. Like, it does happen, but it's super segregated, you know? Like, you don't see it happen widespread. I think
Yeah,
it's
they're like those
yeah.
kind of no-go areas when just things don't go wrong. You know, every city has that. But then it feels like most of Hanoi is no-go.
It's like a huge go hot pot. Like everything is in there. Like it's mix up. Like
it's a GTA server.
it's like a GTA. server. Oh
You said
fuck!
it, man. You said it.
It is. Fuck yeah, yeah. It's like you got people like in GTA. To those who don't play GTA, who are watching this, like you got people holding rockets and people using cheat codes in the server. And Hanoi is, in a way, Hanoi is like that. Like you will see random shit, like the most random shit in Hanoi. I think the like not structure like ism like Hanoi not being structured enough is what makes Hanoi so charming for foreigners.
Mm.
Like they will say like, wow, Hanoi is so
It's an
exotic.
adventure. It's like those travel vloggers going to India and seeing all the dysfunctionality of the place because
Yeah.
it's really dysfunctional. I've never
Yeah.
been, but I met Indians and then I saw so many travel vloggers just reporting on what they saw. You know, they didn't have an agenda of making the place look bad. They were literally just walking around the streets and they were just showing live
Mm.
what was the place. And objectively, like anyone could agree that it was a trash, rat infested, just messed up looking place. But they liked it. They said, "Oh, it's an adventure. Oh, I'm from in Switzerland. I don't have this. You know, everything is or in Australia or whatever." But yeah, this is fun. What a, you know, and everyone's honking. You know, you see fecal matters on the street, and you're like, "Oh,
Shit.
check this out! What an adventure!" You know, and
Oh man, that brings me back to something I saw some time ago. I was on my way to school, so I had to go through District 3, right? And it was quite early in the morning, so it was pretty quiet. But I saw a group of like tourists, like all of them were white, like European white, no offense. And like it was a group of like I think 7 or 8 people, and like I just saw them stop and point at the ground, and like they were terrified of something. It was like, what the hell? I don't see anything. But then I looked closely, and there was a dead rat on the sidewalk, and they were like, oh my god, it's a fucking dead rat, you know? And and I was like, me growing up, it was like I see dead rats any time of the day, you know?
Yeah, it's like
And for them, it was so weird
we're
to see
just so
like a
used to
dead
it.
rat just lying there.
but where are those guys coming from? I feel that rats are endemic in pretty much any medium to big city. There you just can't
Yeah.
get rats away. They're gonna survive anyhow. They always adapt to anything. Rats
Yeah.
will inherit this whole world, you know. When we're all gonna nuke each other, rats will just take over. I'm serious, man. I mean, I saw rats in the back kitchen of McDonald's in the middle of a city, a well-established city in the Netherlands.
In the
Oh
So
shit.
Netherlands.
what are we talking about? Yeah,
Ratatouille.
with my own eyes, the rats
Ratatouille.
everywhere. Ratatouille, Little Stewart, whatever you want to call it, they're all over the place. So where are these guys coming from? I don't know, from the most posh, I don't
Maybe
Uh, That's the
Finland.
upper middle
know,
class
village
rats.
up in
Holland.
the Alps. Are they coming from?
No, no,
Huh?
no, not Netherlands. Finland or like really cold places, I guess.
I think
They
yeah.
like the
whatever
upper
it was,
class.
maybe
They like the
Iceland or
upper
something.
class
Yeah,
rats.
I think it's
The
there's
European
the
rats.
word for
It's
rats.
Or
also a
they're
different
just
standard.
they're just snowflakes. Like maybe they see rats all the time, but they're just snowflakes about it. So it'd be like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a fucking rat.
But I heard there's a
Yeah, they're like,
story
what is
about
that?
why rats are so common in Vietnam, at least in Saigon or like in like Hanoi. So like the species of rats that we have here in the city, they're not Vietnamese. They're local rats. They're actually French rats.
From the boats. that they
Yeah, from the
brought
boats.
from
From the
France.
boats. Yeah, and the reason why there are so many rats is because, again, I'm not sure if this story is vetted, but I heard it from someone a long time ago. So basically, what happened was during the French colonial era, the French government found that yeah, the rats were a big problem. So they started to give out rewards, right? Whoever kills the rat gets a certain amount of money, right? But you don't have to like show like the whole dead rat. All you needed to do was just kill them, cut its tail, give it to your local official, and then you would receive some money. So, like the Vietnamese, we did that for a while. We killed rats, and then we thought, hey, why don't we capture them, put them in cages, fucking cut their tails, and just gave it to the
Oh yeah,
French?
just take the tail off and let them in the cage. They multiply. They'll make baby rats, and then we.
Exactly. Yeah, they would breed the new rats, and like it's it's easy money, right?
Well, if you're opportunist, yeah, why not?
Yeah. And eventually the French caught on to this scheme, and like they told us to fucking get rid of the rats, man. And like we didn't kill them, just let them go. Thousands of fucking rats, released back into the city. I'm not sure if this story
Is it true
is
though?
authentic, but it makes sense. It makes
It
sense. It
does
sounds
make
like something
sense.
we would
In
do.
Hanoi, there are kind of many, in every city you see every now and then one or two rats, but in Hanoi, sometimes you walk on the street on an alley and then a rat just comes in front of you.
Yeah,
It's like a thing.
they're not scared. They're not scared of people. They don't give a fuck.
I don't know, like some
I
of
don't
them
give a
are,
fuck. I don't
they never.
Yeah.
At least I'm glad they're not aggressive, they don't jump.
Yeah, they
on
don't.
you,
Yeah, they
because
don't
that would
bite
be
you,
wild.
jump on you. They're
Oh,
pretty
one
chill.
thing,
I mean,
one thing I noticed about like how like white people come here because interesting because I had a roommate who was white, and he just
Uh-huh.
came to Vietnam for about 2 months, and he observes how dogs in Vietnam bark way more than other countries. Like he would just stare
Uh-huh.
at the dog and like, is this common in Vietnam? Like dogs just bark at strangers all the time. Annie, how do you think about
Hmm.
that? Like, is it true?
I think it's. I didn't really observe, a difference in this sense. I reckon that it's just in their nature to bark. They're protective. They,
I think it's
just
because
what dogs do. I can't tell that they bark. Dogs here bark more than in other place.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe I just didn't pay attention to this. I don't know.
I think
I grew up in a place full of stray dogs, and
I think it's because like we Vietnamese we treat dogs differently. Like we actually discipline them like kids. Like we would hit dogs and shit. And dogs,
Basically hitting
they're
you.
very emotionally
and in
intelligent.
Hanoi they eat them.
They can feel like they have emotion. They are traumatized by physical violence. So I think the reason why dogs in Vietnam bark more in general is because Like they are. I mean, they're okay with their owner, but they've developed some sort of a trauma. They've developed a sort of a defense mechanism. Whenever they see like a stranger, especially human, they would bark more than usual. I think so. I think so.
Could be. I mean, could be a
Yeah.
possibility because he says he lived in America for 26 years, and he says
Uh-huh.
that Vietnam has more tolerance towards noise in general than any other
True.
country.
True.
It's like
Look at the fucking karaoke sheet.
he
Look at the fucking
lives,
karaoke scene, man. The
dude,
karaoke.
dude, he lives in Lam Ha, which is 30 kilometers away from Dalat, the city,
Uh-huh.
and at noon people are blasting music, like really shitty music. It's like the worst,
Uh-huh.
the fucking thing you ever hear in your life.
On those like shitty big ass speakers.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
reverb
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And they play it
Yeah,
nonstop,
where the sound is
3 hours of that.
distorted.
Yeah. So I would say that Vietnam has really high tolerance towards noise in general.
Yeah, that's a
Dude, I see that in traffic. You honk people and they're oblivious to it. They have no reaction because everyone is an entitled prick in traffic. Well, not everyone, but most people, and they honk without reason at all. They want to make some music. It's too quiet. We need noise on
I
the road.
fucking hate
That's
some
how roads
honking,
are.
man. Like, dude, that's what makes me leave. Like, I was having a good day, and then when I went outside in Hanoi, I was driving my like listening to the Beatles or some shit, and then people
Uh-huh.
were like, "Ow," and I'm like, my fucking day is ruined,
I
dude.
can't relate to
I
that.
hate
I
those,
can't relate to that.
those
Yeah.
cunts.
I can't relate to that.
There's those fucking cunts that they modify when you honk.
Oh
on
my
the
God,
road,
yes.
beep beep, but some people modify it and it's go like beep 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 beep. It's like
Uh-huh.
the whole machine gun.
Yeah, yeah.
voice.
That's technically illegal, but again, the cops don't give a shit.
There are many illegal things here, but as an acquaintance I know here who's been in France for some years for college, he said there's no law in this place. Ni foi ni loi, it doesn't exist.
Which
Me-
on the upper side, which is good because people can do drugs here like way more freely than any other country. I think so.
Man,
Oh, true, yeah.
In Vietnam, people are more flexible with like weed and LSD and other stuff than they are where I come from in Eastern Europe. They criminalized weed so much, like if they catch you with a tiny bit, an ounce of like from a joint or whatever, and police sees that, you can either get a fine or you can, worst case scenario, they can put you in jail for just that. They don't differentiate that. Hey, there's stuff like weed which doesn't kill anyone,
Yeah.
and then there's stuff that heroin that destroys lives.
There's a huge
And these are
difference.
very. There's
Yeah.
a huge, but for them it's all the same. For them, they're all drugs.
And
They should
these
be
are
treated
drugs
in the
too.
same manner.
These are prescribed by the doctors, and they are legal. But I can take them because it's prescribed by the doctor. But it can be addictive. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
now let's switch a little bit topic about big pharma, like how everything, they decriminalize weed, but then they, you know, all the stuff that is legal, that is morphine and very shitty stuff on your body.
Yeah,
I mean,
more-
it's
more
just,
things
it's just,
toxic
it's just
and
retarded, man, because they can capitalize on this. You see, there's, you can make categories of, some drugs are just too messed up, they're too addictive, and it's so easy for people to get hooked, and I can understand that. But then there's stuff like weed or hash,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or magic mushrooms that doesn't do that.
I mean,
And
it's
you
easier
can
for
capitalize on these things. You legalize them, you make a market, and you can tax them,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
everyone benefits.
I mean, I think it's easier for legislators. I mean, for most countries, legislators are just lazy. It's easier for them to just group everything together, like hard narcotics, and then it's easier for them in that sense. I mean, I hope that's possibly it's possibly gonna change in Vietnam because Thailand's doing it. Thailand's doing it. I mean, they legalized weed last year, I think. And
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago, yeah. So hopefully other Southeast Asian countries would follow suit. Singapore has a very uh,
Oh, Singapore is very draconian on this.
exactly.
They're actually so
They're
strict.
hardliners on
You,
the drug scene.
but they're sneaky because very close to Singapore, in the immediate vicinity, there's an Indonesian island
Uh-huh.
where a bunch of people sell a bunch of things.
Uh-huh.
And the people from Singapore just take a ferry there or whatever. It gets them there in no time. They go on that island, they do their business,
And they go
have
back.
their fun,
And then go
then
back.
they go back, because the authorities, and I think it's even arranged with the authorities of Singapore. They're like, hey, some people want to do it anyway. They're gonna do it anyway, but not in Singapore. You're not doing it here.
That's
You
fair.
cross to that Indonesian
That's fair.
place,
That's fair.
have your fun, go crazy.
Uh-huh.
When you're done, when you're through with that, just come back and mind your own shit.
That's fair. So
Don't bring
basically,
that here.
just don't do it in Singapore. Basically,
It's kind of, yeah, it's
that's fair.
I
That's
heard a few
fair.
things about
'cause,
Singapore.
yeah, hey, those people get what they want, and at the same time, we keep Singapore to this reputation. And
Huh.
I heard a few things about
Nobody gets
Singapore that
hurt.
makes me don't want to visit Singapore. Like how if you got caught with like 1 gram or 2 grams of weed, I don't know, but you were caught with that and you have a death sentence or some shit or
You're
20 years.
screwed. You're screwed. If you,
no, they're serious about this.
yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
basically over 5 grams of anything, over 5 grams of anything that's considered a drug in Singapore, you're dead.
Fuck. Like, literally gonna die.
I mean, even like chewing gum is forbidden.
Yeah, even chewing gum is banned.
Well, you know what's the reason for that?
I mean, they take like the cleanliness thing to a whole new level. I get
No,
it.
but the chewing gum is not about cleanliness. I met this Indian guy who lived there for a long time. He lives and works in Singapore. Sometime in the 80s or 90s, they have a sky train.
They have a what?
And
Sorry?
someone was chewing a sky train.
Oh, Scotch. Yeah. Okay.
So someone was chewing gum, and then he took the gum out and put it in
Between the doors.
the doors that go like this. But then for some reason the doors couldn't, because of that chewing gum, the doors couldn't completely close. Therefore, the train couldn't leave the station because you have to have everything closed, and that doesn't happen.
That's
Error
BS.
or whatever.
What?
What the
And-
Crazy.
No, I'm not kidding. That's what happened. You
What?
can Google that. And then it didn't work, and people got pissed off. They said no more chewing gum.
What?
Yes, I know, it created an inconvenience.
So that's how it happened. That's how chewing gum was banned.
I thought it was because how like people have a habit of like after they finish chewing gum, they would stick it under the table, under a chair or something. I thought that was like a precursor to the ban, but I didn't know about the whole SkyTrain thing. It's stupid.
I might be wrong, but let's. He's famed as the man for a while.
I mean, it does make sense in a way, but it's just so stupid that they would use that as an excuse to ban chewing gum.
Wow. I
It
never
might be
heard
wrong.
that.
Maybe whoever told me this was messing with me.
Super funny.
Yeah, the MRT. No, it's I found it. Wait. Putting chewing gum on our subway train doors so they don't open, I don't call that creativity, I call that mischief making. The Prime Minister was saying.
Oh man.
Uh,
Okay. So it was blocking the sensors. Ah.
That's basically.
Because the doors are automated, they need to see people to for the doors to open. Okay. No, it's just super funny.
Well, it's like, is Singapore the only country that is banned chewing gum?
I'm not sure. I mean, there are over 200
I'm not sure
countries.
either, but when you hear about the chewing gum thing, just Singapore comes around.
Yeah, I want to Google that. I want to Google that actually.
What do you think? You think there's some African country, maybe Uganda or Mozambique? I've done it. Like as far as I'm concerned, I think it's okay in all the rest of the developed world. Yeah, but back to Hanoi, where we're talking about Singapore. I
Yeah,
was
we
comparing
went
Singapore with Hanoi in terms of
way top.
pollution. But now the chapter that I'm teaching in grade 10, it's called Humans and the Environment. And I take this opportunity to call out the Hanoi's pollution. And remember today that chart that you showed last year when at some point Hanoi was #1 in
Yeah.
pollution, the most polluted city on the planet.
Exactly. Yeah.
The air index, and I found another one. I didn't find yours, but I found another one when it was #2, coming second after Lahore, Pakistan.
Yeah.
And I showed that graph to the students. It was in Vietnamese. I wanted to make sure they all understand. It was like, what is this? And they're all shocked.
Wait,
And,
what was this graph about? I didn't catch up.
a graph, you know, a ranking
chart.
of the most polluted
I guess a
cities.
chart would be a chart.
Chart,
Yeah.
exactly. A chart of the most polluted cities.
Oh
in the
wow,
world.
Hanoi was pretty up there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
It was second. It was only
second. Yeah.
And I
Dear God.
showed that to the people, and they were like, "Look at this, kids! Hanoi is the second most polluted city in the whole world. What do you think about this?"
How are you not fired?
Started laughing. I was like, "Yeah, we're proud. Look at them. We're something that we're doing great."
Vietnam vô địch, Vietnam #1.
Take care.
That reminds me of something.
And then we thought, guys, let's.
That reminds me of something. I had a teacher back in middle school. We still kept in contact well into my 20s, and he told me about a friend of his who was a lecturer at some university. He didn't say which, but he was a philosophy major basically, and they would have to do theses on like different topics every year to publish it for the university. And this lecturer published a paper on how Vietnam was not socialist enough. And like when he published it, he got fired and then deported from the country. The balls of that guy, holy shit.
Ooh.
The sacrifices.
The sacrifice.
I mean, he had a point. He had a point. We're not socialist anymore. I mean, that's a fact. We're just socialists on paper.
You know, it baffles me, the history of Vietnam, because you know it's the modern history, the post World War II history. So they're basically fuck all French colonizers. We had enough of you, piss off, and the French said no. Fighting, whatever, a bunch of 1954 independence, 1955 partition. In Vietnam, the South Vietnam, North Vietnam, they fight. The North wins. So the South wants democracy, the North wants communism. The North wins. The whole country becomes communist. It doesn't really work. The country is isolated. There's a lot of economic, the not partition. How do you call that? The land reformation doesn't.
Oh, that was like back in '35. That was a fucking
70s, 80s. You know, people are like borderline starving.
Yeah.
The rice was poorly managed, and it went really down. Crops were like.
Yeah, the biggest problem was they centralized everything. You shouldn't centralize
The
agriculture.
people didn't have the expertise, and things went down, and people suffered. And then they realized at some point, someone realized like, hey, how about we open up a little bit? How about we allow some capitalism? And then the country becomes capitalist.
Yeah.
Like social capitalism.
And to add insult to injury, the president who decided to open Vietnam up post-Vietnam War, he was a Southerner. Vaduva, he was a Southerner. He was from the Mekong Delta. He grew up in the South.
Gorbachev, he's the guy who went through Moscow, right, in '87, I think.
Probably, yeah. It was either Gorbachev or Khrushchev. I don't remember. It was one
It
or
was
two.
way after. No, Khrushchev was in the '50s.
So Gorbachev. Yeah, Gorbachev.
Gorbachev.
with the perestroika, and then Gorbachev said, "Hey, you guys need to do your own perestroika. You need to allow private spending and open up, because you can't keep living like this, you know."
I would say that Gorbachev ended the Cold War. Yeah, Gorbachev
Yeah,
effectively.
no, that's him. It's